Welcome, Anime Loungers, to another episode. I am your host, Lance, and I am here with my other two co-hosts, Matt and Ricky. Today, we are going to be talking about a very fun anime called Dr. Stone. Today, we're going to be covering Season 1. But before we get started, we like to start our episodes by introducing our adult beverages of choice. Today just so happens to be New Year's Day, and in celebration of that, we wanted to do something a little bit
more elegant.
Yeah. So we chose a more top dollar choice, kind of to say. So we're all drinking some Johnny Walker Blue Label.
Smooth, man. It's nice.
It's good. It's definitely a good chill lounge drink.
You know how we do it in Wisconsin. We always chase it down with beer.
And we are all chasing it down. We are jumping back and forth between yet another Shock Top Belgian White and some Coors Light.
Yeah.
So we're jumping. That's okay, because we know how to mix.
Oh, for sure.
Can't have too many.
So today is New Year's Day, which means we celebrated New Year's Eve last night.
Some of us more than others.
Some of us more than others. Unfortunately, we didn't get too crazy or anything. You know, we're getting to that age where we don't need to go to the bars and party with some random people.
I smoked some ribs last night. They were delicious.
Those ribs were delicious.
So I'm cool with having some smoked ribs and a bunch of drinks.
Uh-huh.
I smoked something. It wasn't ribs. No, I just spent some time over at Jill's bar for a couple hours. Regular employee appreciation. So you get to the point where you become a regular at a bar and they'll throw you a party. Yeah.
But here in Wisconsin, that's still a positive thing. So.
Yeah, that was a good time. We were, like you said, Lance, we didn't stay out late. We don't celebrate. Not that we don't celebrate. I'm not at that age anymore. I don't need to be staying out for the balloon drop at Cock and Bull for the $1,000. I don't need to fight little kitties.
Oh, might as well. Fuck it. Go fight those kitties. You're older than them. You got more power than them. Show them what's up.
Yeah, I've done that a couple years. It never ends out well, man. I probably get like $1 or $2 from the balloons, and that's it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Never been to Cock and Bull for New Year's. In fact, I don't think I've ever been to a bar for New Year's. It's always been house parties that I've gone to. Either been to, hosted, or just never been to the bar scene for New Year's.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that either.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, just you, Ricky.
Damn. That's how I become a regular at a bar.
Might be saying something about that.
Yeah. But anyways, where are we off to now?
We'll jump straight into the synopsis. And
there you go.
Matt's covering that one.
Alright, for today, as Lance said, we're going to be covering Season 1 of Dr. Stone. And in this one, you follow along in a world with a super genius named Senku, his friends, and then everyone else is turned to stone. And you see this mysterious green light. Fast forward 3,700 years, and you see Senku counting this entire time. And he is finally able to break free from his petrification. And now that he is free, he starts bringing people back. And his goal is to bring everyone back from stone and bring them to a civilization back from the stone world.
See, I'm glad you did the synopsis, Matt, because those big words.
Those big words. Civilization. I can't even pronounce that word.
Yeah, talk shit, Lance.
The fun part about this is it's crazy to think that you can jump into the future only to find yourself back into the stone world. And I think that's the fun concept of how Dr. Stone gets to play.
Yeah, this is definitely a different show than what we've been watching, especially for these podcasts. But just in general, I haven't watched anything like this.
No, it's very, very scientific. Everything's very, planned out. I like how they plan everything out and make it work. I enjoyed the shit out of this.
What's crazy is that this is considered a shonen jump.
Yep.
And what we're used to as a shonen kind of show are superpowers and all that fun stuff. But Senku's superpower really is just being a genius as a kid.
So, I'm new to all this shit. What does that mean that you just said?
The shonen jump. Have you ever played the video game J-Stars or anything like that? Yu Yu Hakusho is considered Dragon Ball Z, Black Clover, all the superpowered, just anything superpowered is typically considered Shonen Jump, as long as it has that kid friendliness to it. Not like Jujutsu. I'm pretty sure Jujutsu is not.
Jujutsu, I believe, is actually, because Shonen Jump is actually
I know that Jujutsu is a little mature, so I was a little on the edge.
It's a book of mangas. Okay. Is what Shonen Jump is. So you get a book of all these mangas. They're going to be typically shorter, anywhere from, I think it's 12 to 24 pages.
Oh,
So
I
it's
thought
gonna be
shonen. Like, I thought that like some kind of loose translation was like for kids or something like that. That's just what I kind of heard on the side, and not that I looked into it myself. But what I kind of was getting at was that all the shonen stuff is typically superpower stuff, and here we are doing super hardcore science with no superpowers or anything along those lines. I mean, unless you want to call Tsukasa with fucking punching out a lion a superpower.
So in my mind, I just kept on calling him Hercules. Like that's just who he is.
Out my drink. Damn it, that was a good one.
Like that's just who he is.
He's basically
he's just a human with super strength and ridiculous like thought process.
Oh yeah.
Like when he's trying to chase down Senku, like from the beginning, he's thinking, "Oh, they're expecting me to do this, but why would they rustle the?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got that psychological breakdown on stuff.
Yeah.
Like super top-notch psychological breakdown, top-notch physical, features. But at the same time, he doesn't have the knowledge of all the science that Senku has. But like, dude, this guy's like OP, and he's only a high schooler.
For real.
Like, goddamn, slow down a little bit. I mean, we're trying to make this as realistic as possible with a little bit of bones to throw, and then you just make this as high schooler.
You know, now that we're speaking of Tsukasa, back in his old life, was he like a boxer? Because we kept on seeing like flashbacks, and he's got boxing gloves on.
I think so.
Like most of the time.
Now that you're saying that, that's my first but that's my first impression on him.
Yeah.
With a boxer. Not that I remember, but now that I'm thinking about it again, now I'm starting to blend a bunch of different anime together.
Oh, seriously.
It starts to get that way. Like right now, I'm thinking Tsukasa is like this guy from this Mars anime that I was watching that I was very disappointed with because there was also a boxing ring in there, and now that's making me think of that one. But Matt, do you remember if he was a boxer or not?
So they called him the strongest high school primates, and I think it was just any sort of fighting. Like he did any kind of fighting. I don't think it was just straight boxing.
Okay.
But obviously, if he can take out a lion with one punch, he can outbox anybody too.
Yeah.
And after years of MMA fighting, Tsukasa gained permanently swollen knuckles on his index, middle, and ring finger. So basically, he's just done all MMA stuff. So he can do everything apparently.
But I want to see the people that he fought against.
Yeah, they kind of
because if you were telling
gave
me
him this title and just expect you to accept it.
Yeah. So the people that he fought against are either dead or they're like somewhere near his level, just to be able to be in that ring with him. I guess you know what I mean. Like so with boxing, there's certain like weight classes,
right?
So there's got to be some people that are, I'm not saying stronger than him, but in his level where they can actually compete in a boxing ring and not just die because this dude's ridiculously strong.
I don't know. Old school. If you haven't watched old school UFC fights where it's like the 400-pound guy taking on a 150-pound guy, if he could take on a lion, I'm pretty sure he can just kill everybody. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's also punching off heads off of stones, like the stone people.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an easy feat either.
And he was like chopping down trees with a spear.
Fuck that. Okay, I can understand him punching out a lion because that's a biological thing. Like, not that trees aren't biological, but like that's flesh and bone that you can mess with a lion's brain or something. But the fact that he fucking chopped down that tree to land on Kohaku, I think that's a little bit of excessive liberties being taken there. That was the okay. That
what
was
what does Matt always say?
That's the only bitch there.
It's anime.
It's anime. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say about that one. Other than that, I think that's literally my only bitch about the show.
So you're saying one punch a lion is more believable than cutting a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
we haven't watched.
Lance, but I've watched lots of animes where tiny swordsmen cut down trees. So
with a swipe, with a swipe, not even aggressive swipe.
Senku had to make this badass pulley system to get that tree off of Kohaku to begin with, and then.
I have a bitch about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, yeah?
He makes all these pulley systems, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, he carves this tree out to make these pulleys.
Mm-hmm.
Took so much time to do that shit.
Yeah,
when he could have just carved the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And took it off.
Chopped down the tree itself, yeah.
Because he was making wheels. He was doing all this shit, like intricate carving. Which I'm guessing, I've carved a couple shit here and there for fun. It takes a while.
Yep.
You could have just cut the tree. Like, from 2 points, lifted it up, and you're done.
I think in the writer's perspective, the idea of that was to also include those same pulleys as the wheels for going down that hill. And I think they're trying to do a 2-for-1 deal.
I get it, but if you're going to bitch about a tree getting cut down on one swipe and you're not going to talk shit about this, Lance, we got a problem.
But before we get too far into our conversation, Lance, can you give us our Lance's lessons for the day?
Yeah, we kind of skipped that a little bit, so I was wondering if we were going to do that at the beginning and the end. But yeah, let's go back to Lance's lessons. Today's Lance's lesson is going to be the Japanese word for stone. It is Kaseki, spelled Keseki. And this is obviously fitting because the show is called Dr. Stone, and we learn throughout the series that different variations of rocks are incredibly important for creating literally anything scientific. So follow us on the social media pages and hit that like button and help us get the Lance's lessons out there. So now we can continue.
I will say, when I first started reading this, I got to page 2 and he was talking about all of, like, making gas. I'm like, oh man, what did I get myself into? Because I thought for sure that it was going to be, not that it wasn't scientific, but I thought there was going to be a lot more to it, and it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah, because me and Matt have both seen all of Dr. Stone seasons 1 and 2 at this point.
Yep.
And so we already know what we're getting ourselves into. So me and Matt, we were talking on the side real quick, and he sent me just a screenshot of like what he was just saying, like the page 2 or whatever. And I'm like, damn, dude, you're basically going to be reading
like a science magazine,
a textbook, like, dude, all these big ass words, and you're just going to be like, is this really going to be worth it? Because it's one thing to listen to, but if you're going to be sitting there reading it, like, no one likes reading a textbook. Yeah. And then that's basically what we're watching. Mm-hmm. It's a science.
None of us we're watching it. He's reading it.
He's reading it. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, no,
he had a harder lesson.
I'm actually episode 4. Remember Mecha Senku? That's his first appearance.
I loved Mecha Senku.
So far that I remember, I think we've only seen him 3 times.
I think 3.
But the first appearance in episode 4 is when they're making the gunpowder.
Yep.
Like, those are real fucking ingredients, bro.
Exactly.
Do not try this at home, people.
Yeah, he's telling, because obviously anime is targeted to the younger crowd, and he's literally giving a step-by-step introduction on how to make gunpowder, how to make explosives, as if America doesn't need explosives anymore in the younger crowd. But I digress. But I love Mecha Senku because he gives that breakdown, and everybody needs that breakdown because not everyone is a super genius like Senku is.
Yep. Yeah.
And plus, he just kind of looks a little cool.
He does look really cool, and I like how he was like, "All right, so don't do this." Apparently, that scotch is that smooth.
Yeah, that's don't take a breath while drinking scotch.
Mecha Senku.
Mecha Senku. That's a tip. Sorry, Matt. Continue.
And just keeps telling us, "Hey, don't do this at home. This is how you do it, but don't do it."
Right. Ooh, since we're on that kind of topic of here's how you do it. Do you guys happen to have a favorite kind of combination, kind of ingredient deal? Like, what was your favorite scientific thing that they made? Like, at least something that comes to the top of your head.
Okay, Ricky, you want to go first?
Yeah, put me on the spot like that.
Yeah.
You want me to start since I brought it up?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I brought it up because I already had something in my mind. The cola deal. Cola was one of my favorites because I never realized I didn't do it myself, but how simple cola was. And what they were saying was it was crushed cilantro and lemon zest, and then a little squirt of honey or something.
Basically, yeah.
And then put that with carbonated water, and that should give you the basic formula for cola. I thought that was pretty freaking sweet. I didn't realize it was that simple. I mean, obviously there's a million other ingredients in Pepsi and Coke, but
it's slightly more complicated. But the basic concept of cola is that. And I mean, when you're in the year 5738, just like when they have ramen, that ramen was terrible
to our standards.
But the fact that you still had it, minus for Senku, the fact that it was still there, it was great. Mm-hmm. So it was good how they could make some of those things that happened in what was Senku's time happen in the future / in the Stone World.
Yeah. So you want to claim that one as yours as ramen, or do you have another fun idea?
No, I definitely like the ramen. I thought the ramen one was the most, the foxtail wheat ramen.
Mm-hmm. Millet, foxtail millet.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was a very fun idea because why would you take some gross ass weed with a bunch of thorny things on top of it and turn that into something so delicious according to the Stone Age people's taste buds? But still.
And it was a good introduction to get to show Senku does care about everybody. Even though he's kind of twisted, he does actually care about everybody he's around.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of a narcissist, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he writes his name on every fucking thing.
The Senku rockets. pants and all that.
Well, I was just thinking about that because, like, obviously we know he's trying to hide from Tsukasa, but he's writing his shit, like, his name on everything.
Yeah.
Let's just say, like, somebody were to pick up something and it has his name on it. I'm like, oh, we're fucking Senku's still alive. You know,
Yeah.
It's just a small little clue. But
yeah, even that little tiny generator that the two guards were spinning around, I think was even called like a Senku or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything had his name on it.
Senku ramen.
Yep.
On the cart.
That's like the Snap-on from the Stone Age.
Yep.
The Senku.
What was one of your favorite science invention kind of deals?
One that was like really impactful, well, obviously for everybody there too, was the light bulb.
Yeah.
So when they got that going and just like glue or like just it was glowing from space. They showed you the scene from space, but unrealistic. They were just trying to be excessive. But yeah, the light bulb.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because that makes me bring back a little memory. Maybe not a memory, but like in our own realistic personal history, the deal with the Great Wall of China. I don't know if you guys knew, but like the origins of that were like the people who were making it were like, I want this wall to be so long and big that they can see it from space. But in reality, when you're in space, you can't see the Great Wall of China. And it's because it's so thin. It doesn't matter how long it is, it's because it's thin. It doesn't even register. So
Yeah,
I think that's a little ironic. But yeah, a glowing Christmas tree from space. Yeah, so that's just where I was coming from.
Another one that did just pop in my head, I forgot about it, is I think this is probably my favorite. It's the cotton candy machine.
I'm like,
why are they making a cotton candy machine? And then obviously they got to test it out with the cotton candy, and then they make the gold wire for the
wires,
cell phone. That was slick.
It was
that was tight. But,
yeah, because there's always a dual purpose to everything that Senku made, and I appreciate the shit out of that because there's something fun and then there's something very serious about it. So I really like that.
If I can go back to what you were saying about the Coke or the cola,
going
back to that scene, that's like when I first started noticing. Don't you guys think that Gen and Senku are like very flirtatious? Very flirtatious.
So I only say. Well,
I can say something on top of that.
All right.
There was one moment in episode like 2 or 3 or something like that after Tsukasa was revived, and Tsukasa was I can look up the little quote if I really wanted to right now, but Senku. Okay, so Tsukasa was obviously planning his deal to kill people and make shit.
I know what you're talking about.
And then Senku was like, why are you praising me? There's only 2 reasons why people praise another person, and it's either you're flirting with me or you're plotting against me. So what is it? And that's what makes the viewers be like, okay, so Tsukasa really does have something up his sleeve. And that just caught my attention so hardcore because, us as guys, when we go out and hunt for girls, being manly. Like, yeah, we talk to girls for a reason. We're either... There's reasons behind every action that you do, and that's what made me think, like, damn, I don't know how psychological you want to get on stuff, but there is an actual reason behind everybody's motive of everything, and it's just crazy.
But I do think that Tsukasa was doing it just because he was generally appreciative of what Senku did for him, and there was no ulterior motive behind it. I think he was just trying to be like, hey man, I appreciate it. You're, like one of 2 people alive right now, so I'm thankful that I'm not alone and I'm not stoned.
So are you basically saying that Senku gave him that idea?
No, he was plotting it to begin with, but I think the reason why he had thanked Senku was just for
strict genuality.
To be genuine and not. But it also gives you a view of how Senku thinks.
Right.
Because everybody always has a reason for doing something. Because Senku always has a reason for doing something.
Oh, yeah.
The cotton candy machine. Yeah, he was being nice to everybody, but he was using it to make gold thread.
This fucker's playing chess tenfold, bro.
He's
way ahead.
Plus, he was also trying to influence that, what was her pink? Whatever, that super acrobatic chick that was spying on him in the distance. Like, they gave her a thing of cotton candy, too.
Memoji?
I don't remember.
The pink lady, yeah.
I didn't write down her name. But, I mean, obviously she's going to be in the list somewhere. And spoiler alert, she's in season 2, obviously. But they gave her cotton candy to make him think that, like, okay, well, we're not so bad, and I know you're spying on us, but here's some, like, truce kind of deal. That's how I kind of took it.
Homura? Yeah, Homura.
Hamura.
There we go. That's what her name is.
But yeah, no, he's always thinking ahead. I really appreciate that about this show. Because I get mad, like, obviously, there's some times where, like, what the fuck is he doing, man? Like, why is he doing this shit? Yeah. And then later you come to find out, like, everything was planned out strategically. And
oh, yeah, that's going to be the fun part about this, because me and Matt have of seeing all this, and this is Ricky's first time, so now we get to just
Oh.
sit here and grin at all of Ricky's like
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
first time around kind of deal. Yeah. Okay. Before we get too much further, let's talk about favorite characters.
Okay.
I think that's something that we usually do. So, Matt, do you have a favorite character?
Oh man, I don't want to be chalky and just go with Senku, but I did really like Senku, and then I'd probably have to go with Chrome.
Chrome.
Yeah, just because of this was a guy that thought he was doing sorcery to begin with and spent his entire life collecting rocks, essentially becoming a Stone World version of Senku.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to do everything that Senku did, minus, all the knowledge of what the future / past held. So he could, and I just thought that was great. And the fact that he was doing, like, when the tournament came around, and he was okay with losing. Like, everybody knew that he loved Rory.
Yep. Which
But-
was sad, because you want to root for him, but you know he doesn't have that, like, the physical aptitude to just make it to the top.
Yeah, he's never gonna be like Magma or your Kadryu, and just he's the science guy, and it was good that he was forthcoming enough to be like, yeah, I do love her, but that's as far as it's going. So, what about you, Ricky?
It's a little out there, man. I don't even know his name. Yakuya, maybe? Sure, kinda.
Yakuya?
Yeah.
Which one's this?
Senku's dad.
Byakuya.
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 Yeah, there you go. Stepdad for the win, bro.
Yeah, he is a
So
stepdad.
that shit hit me personally.
They're
like,
not blood. Yeah, because Ricky is a stepdad to all of his kids at the moment.
Yeah, because they said that he's not his blood father, but just his father.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely by far favorite, just because of how close he was with his son and what he did to try to.
Oh, you're
He did everything. Like he did everything he could to.
He sold his car to buy science equipment for Senku.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's a huge thing just to encourage your child, and it's not even your blood child. Like that just shows it doesn't matter if you're blood related or not. Being a father means being there for a child that you care about, and I think that's so powerful, especially because I don't know a single other anime that has a quote unquote stepdad. So I think that's another kind of barrier to cross over. But yeah, Ricky, like you're considered a stepdad, and you're doing an amazing job as a father.
I appreciate that, man. But yeah, like I said, he was just my favorite. Even when they were not in outer space, like even though he's not as smart as Senku, I don't think anybody is. But he figured out a way of trying to find out when this stone that turned everybody into stone originated because of like the timestamps on social media.
Yes,
shit.
Exactly. Yep.
So like
Because
he's
his
just a
son taught
leader
him.
too.
Yep.
So he took control of the space station. And then when they went back to Earth, I don't know. He's just a great leader. So
South America, by the way, wasn't that what it was? They pinpointed the social media stoppages to South America. They didn't go much further than that, but I'm super interested in what's going on.
So now that you bring that up, when they went back to actually before we get further, I'll come back to this. Lance, what is your favorite character? Who is your favorite character?
Typically I do not like choosing the main character as my favorite character, but Senku is definitely my favorite character. And I don't want to get too carried away on talking about the main character because everybody knows the main character. Matt, I am very, very much close to Chrome being my next one, but at the same time, kind of want to go with the bad guy, Tsukasa.
Okay.
Like we were just saying earlier, like he's got that psychological breakdown of how he reversed psychology, the whole, like when Senku and Taiju and Yuzuriha were trying to run away and they were trying to make it look like it was a rush, and then like he would just reverse psychology. Like he's smart, he's strong, but he just doesn't have that scientific advantage that Senku has. I don't know.
Well, not
He's
even
just
that.
there.
It's just his, I guess his morals or his values are in a different place.
Yep.
You know, he'd be OP. Like he'd be the best character in my opinion if he didn't have that fucked up
Exactly.
thought of
and
not letting the adults live.
Yeah, and what sucks the most is that he's ready to just be the brute force of the world.
Yep.
But I think it's inevitable that science takes over, and that's why we are who we are today, is because, you know, people just get smarter and smarter, and you find out what works and what doesn't. And that's kind of science in a nutshell, what works, what doesn't.
And just what you just said, Senku talks about that with Chrome. Like, even if Senku wasn't alive, eventually they'll progress because look at Chrome.
Chrome, yeah, he was just a random ass guy that just so happened to be interested in how things worked.
Colorful rocks.
And colorful, yeah, exactly. He didn't know exactly what they were, but Chrome knew that certain rocks were stronger than others, and they're just the properties themselves, which is that's why I fucking love science.
Yep.
Science is just so amazing.
And I think, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like the creator made Tsukasa to be kind of like, oh man, kind of question whether you wanted to root for the bad guy or not.
Right.
Because a lot of things that he says is true. It's like, hey, these adults that...
Yes, Tsukasa does bring up those good points.
See, but at the end of the day, isn't he like just being...
But he's doing the same exact
thing. Yeah.
He's doing the exact same thing.
Yep, which makes me like... So that's what solidifies why I don't want to root for him. And I'm not gonna get too carried away because me and Matt know more than you know. But he's still the bad guy, and he's a bad guy for that reason. I can't take that any further. Sorry, I was already... I already just...
We'll be talking about season
a little
2 in a little bit.
Well, yeah, our next episode will be like season 2, but Ricky's not there quite yet, so we can't
we won't
get too carried away.
For him. I'm only 3 episodes in this season 2. So I did continue watching after season 1 just because I'm interested. But to be very honest with you, I don't remember the first 3 episodes of season 2.
And that's okay. That'll be next episode.
Yep, we'll talk about season 2. Definitely will. Just on another episode.
Oh, man. Also, the whole reason that we're even talking about Dr. Stone at this point is because season 3 just got announced. So, in honor of season 3, we're going to cover seasons 1 and 2 to prepare our listeners for season 3.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to talk about season 2 just because it's called Stone Wars.
Yep.
Which is something in the manga that they kind of go over. And I'll talk about that later as well.
Right.
Is the start of the Stone Wars. Ricky, you're having a question for Lance?
Oh yeah, what were we
talking about? I can't remember, to be honest with you. What were we talking about?
Alright, anyway. So when some of the sub-characters, do you guys, of all the machines that were built by Kazuki, what was your favorite one that he did?
Kazuki, the old man?
Yep.
The first thing to come to my mind is his glass building skills, because obviously he took complete control over glass. So glass itself was pretty cool. That's just my first thought, but now that I'm continuing to think a little bit further, I think it was Chrome had the idea, but Kazuki was the one that actually created it, and I think it was the water wheel for the generator.
Yep.
And I think that one's the most important one because that's almost free energy.
I can get down with that one. What about you, Ricky?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with the water wheel. Or the imperfected katanas. I like that.
The Japanese katanas are pretty freaking sweet.
Yep, but they were in a hurry. They can only fold them twice, I believe.
Ooh.
Yep.
And
yes and no. Senku was talking about how the traditional Japanese katana was folded like what, 10 times? Something along those, yes. But as science progressed, they found out that the imperfections honestly didn't get much better after 2 or 3 folds. So, yeah, you might be...
It's not traditional.
It's not traditional, and it's not super, super, super perfect. But to make a katana after 2 folds was basically the same thing. I mean, we're talking minute percentages at that point. That's kind of what I took from what he was saying. So, yeah.
Well, no, I get what you're saying. But to a craftsman, like the old man, he ain't taking that shit.
Yeah.
He's doing it perfect, or it's not fucking done at all.
Right. Oh, and there was times that Kazuki was like, the Chrome went on a hunt for something, and then he's like, I want to make something super awesome for Chrome to come home to, because Chrome was going to be gone for like 3 days, and he's like, I want to surprise Chrome with something new and awesome. So Kazuki's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was Chrome was looking for copper. Yeah, he went looking for copper.
Copper, was it?
And he made him a light, like a headlamp.
Oh yeah.
So they could go spelunking.
And
it's just, I do enjoy the tearjerker parts of this. Mm-hmm. Like when Byakuya is talking into just the record and just...
Yep.
You get that tearjerker, and then you got when Senku and Chrome are talking to Kazuki, and he's like, man, I wish I would have had friends like you guys. And they're like, what do you mean? We're your friends. We love doing these crafting things with you. And he just gets all emotional about it. And it was nice to see that, even though, as he said, he's 50 years older, it's like, it doesn't matter how much older you are than somebody. If you've got something that you both have a passion to do, why can't you be friends?
Right. Just something that's relatable. That's all that matters.
Yep.
So I got a question for you. Okay. Whose waking story did you like the most?
Waking story?
Ooh, like a shell breaker?
Yeah.
I don't know if I typically have a favorite, but if I was to have kind of like a new origin kind of story, Gin's is probably my favorite at the moment, and that's because of I think it was the final episode, the final couple episodes.
Episode 10.
Oh no, that's what. But I meant going back to Senku's birthday deal.
Oh. Okay.
When Gin was freely broken out, and then he's just getting amazed that Senku just so happened to be so smart to keep everything intact even after all this stuff. I don't know if I would really consider that a breakout story. That's kind of a side story.
You're talking about breaking out from the petrification,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Like,
what I'm talking
Okay.
Like, which one interests you
I don't
the
think
most?
I can't consider that one a breakout. So I guess I have to take that one back. Here, let me throw that back at you, Ricky. I don't have one off the top of my mind.
I like Taiju's just because at first it confused the shit out of me how he was like in the cave, like how after the whole 3,000 years, 3,700 years passed, whatever, like how would he end up there? And then obviously you end up finding out his waking up story that Senku brought him there
Right.
to eventually wake up. So that was one of my favorites because he wasn't in his original place.
Right.
Yeah.
He was moved.
Matt?
I'd have to say Senku just because he counted, was it like 9 billion seconds or something like that? Just
Well, I don't remember the number, but whatever.
It was
700 years turns out.
I know it had to be it has to be over 1 billion seconds.
I think billion sounds small at this point. I don't even know.
So a million seconds is like 10 years, and then I think it's 1 billion seconds is like 1,000 years or something like that. Which is crazy to think that the distance between 1 million and 1 billion is between 10 years and 1,000 years. That's something we can look
All right.
up real
Do
fast.
you know the date he woke up?
I don't. I know you have it written down, right?
Yep, April 1st. April 1st, 5738.
I was about to do the math. I'm not even fucking doing that.
No, he writes it on the tree.
Oh no, I meant like how many seconds are in a year / billion years. How many seconds are in 3,700 years? I was about to do the math, but I've been drinking a little bit. I don't care.
No, we're good.
It is 116,683,200,000 seconds.
Oh, so we are still there. Okay. I thought we were going to be talking about trillions, quadrillion, whatever quad.
Alright, not that big of a deal, but I just, so you like Senku.
I do like Senku's. I would have to say I like Taiju's. I would have said Taiju's if you hadn't said it, but I like Taiju's just because the whole reason why he stayed awake was because he was so bound and determined to confess his feelings to Yuzuriha, and right as soon as he was about to say it, of course he gets petrified.
I'm just gonna throw a bone out there because I want to go off of what Matt was saying about unpetrifying people because I want to continue off of that one. But I guess I'll just throw a simple one for myself. Tsukasa's being revival. His revival is because they needed protection. And I thought someone for that brute force, they were deciding between a friend or someone for protection. And I think that's a fair enough decision. I think I would have made the same decision in the same situation, obviously, because it's life or death. But,
Yep, that and when he does break out is super badass too. They made it super badass.
Yeah, like he's like talking.
Yeah,
he's not even broken out yet.
Yeah, he gave him like a 5-second description. We're 3,700 years in the future. You've been petrified this entire time. We're back in the Stone Ages. Fucking beat up that lion.
And we're surrounded by lions.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
Okay.
actually watching that right now. It's episode 2, I believe. But
all right.
before I remember what I was going to ask you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad you picked him because what do you guys think he was doing when he got petrified? Because I'm looking at the image and it looks like he's taking a shit. Like it looks like he's like sitting in the toilet and just petrified. But yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Maybe he was.
Somebody's
Because
got it.
it's
out of
the
7 billion people.
The probability of 7 billion people getting petrified. Lots of those people are taking shits when they got petrified.
What a terrible way to go out.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. He's just sitting there chilling. He might have had a cell phone playing, Candy Crush or something.
For all we know, he could have even been on a couch. But it's more fun to think that he was on a toilet.
I will make a funny joke and just say that he was sitting on his throne with a harem around him. Just a bunch of
Might
wives.
as well. I mean, he was already popular as fuck.
Yeah,
But where are the girls at?
They got washed away. What are you talking about? He was
That's true. They were talking about floods and stuff like that. People got washed away.
And he's so badass that nothing moved him. He just sat there the entire 3,700 years.
His ass so heavy. It stayed.
It's a big old shit.
I think some small thing that they didn't necessarily touch on too much was that the first couple characters that were revived, we got told that the entire 3,700 years that they were constantly thinking. Senku was counting, Taiju was thinking about Yuzuriha, but more and more we'll find out, and unfortunately, Ricky, sorry, season 2, we're going to see a lot more people, but anybody can get revived. So they put emphasis on the process of thinking. So if anybody can get revived, are they skipping the fact that they might have tried to revive some people and because they gave up immediately, they're like dead, and then we're just skipping over reviving dead people? Or are we getting to the point that we can revive literally anybody and we're just going to overlook the fact that they just so happen to be thinking for 3,700 years?
I think,
Thoughts?
in the writer's perspective, I think they forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Because, that's a good point. I was thinking about that too, especially during the conversation you and Matt were having. They're reviving a shit ton of people.
Yep.
Like, especially Tsukasa's army, a shit ton of just brute people that I honestly don't think they had that intelligence enough to just sit there and think.
Yeah, the boneheads that he's reviving, and why would they think?
So I just think they skipped that and they're like, fuck it. That was probably a little detail we probably shouldn't have put in. Just because it makes it a little bit more difficult to integrate it to other people, but
right, because in the beginning of the series, it made it sound like if you weren't thinking,
You're dead.
because Senku was talking about that he would start to like black out or white or whatever. He would start to get unconscious after X amount of seconds, and they made it sound like if that was the case, then you die.
I wouldn't take it as dying. I would think it more of like falling asleep.
There's that too.
I think that's what he was doing. Like essentially his brain would get so tired that he'd fall asleep for, we'll say, a couple hours and then wake back up and just constantly keep redoing that. And just everybody else, I know for me personally, when I fall asleep, it's dark. So I bet you they thought for a little while, because you do see in the first episode when everybody gets all petrified, you see everybody being all afraid and all these other
people
things.
asking for mommy and help and
Yep. And I bet you a lot of them, eventually they fell asleep and just didn't wake back up.
Mhm.
But then to go into your second point where it's like, did they just die? Well, we saw Senku get revived from being dead because of the petrification.
that's a good point.
yeah, that's true, because technically he died, and then the revival fluid
Use the stone to revive him.
regenerated.
I forgot about that fact.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they made up for the fact of them not bringing up the thinking part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
So,
he was
that's a good point.
Yeah, he was completely unconscious during all that because he was technically dead.
Yep. And yeah, it's kind of cool. They somewhat cheated to be able to help bring Senku back to life, which is fine. It's a creative loophole, essentially. And I'm cool with that. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, he didn't actually kill me, but we saw you snap his neck. Yeah, but that didn't happen. It's like, all right.
I did put a little star next to that. When Tsukasa, quote unquote, killed Senku.
Yep.
If you're going for the kill slot, he took a blade to his cervical cord or whatever. Wouldn't you see a bunch of blood or anything along those lines as a killer?
I don't think he used a blade. I think he used his hands.
Didn't he have that staff with a stone at the end of it?
He did, but I don't think he used it. I think he used his hands.
He just like karate chopped him?
Yeah, he basically snapped. Well, he did snap his neck, but I think it was more of like a symbolic thing to use his hands. Like, hey, I'm going to kill you with my own hands versus using this weapon.
Yeah, because there was a point or two that Tsukasa at the end of the series said, like, I killed him with my own hands.
Yep.
Whether that was, like actual hands or just figuratively, yeah. So there's that. I thought it was also kind of cool that Senku was talking to him, like the fact that he was constantly cracking his neck, giving attention to his neck so that smart Tsukasa would think to just aim for the neck because that would be quicker. So there's some psychology kind of shit going on there on Senku's part.
I mean, he's always doing everything he does is for a reason. There's always a purpose for everything. And it's what do you guys think of? Because really, there's no besides Tsukasa fighting one punching the lion. Like the only fighting you get is during the tournament to become chief of the unknown village at this point. What do you guys think of that little pseudo tournament that happened?
Ooh, what was the tournament? I had to start down. What was the tournament called?
The grand bout?
Yeah, grand bout. I like the concept of it. Ooh.
Yeah.
I like the concept of it, because like we talked about earlier in this episode that we were talking that this is a
Primitive.
no, sorry, what's the word for shonen.
Shonen. Okay, yep.
We were talking earlier that this was a shonen series, and a lot of shonen series has some kind of tournament style deal that goes on, at least in today's relative.
Yep.
In today's relative animes, there's always some kind of back-to-back fighting sequence, and that's what this bout was about. And I thought that was really cool. I really did appreciate that, especially with the little sciencey things they threw into the mix, how the evolution of people getting better and stronger, especially how they threw us off in the very beginning with Magma versus...
Bro, I'm glad. Kinro. I'm glad. I took a screenshot of... So they had this huge plan, right?
Yeah.
How they're going to make this happen.
And they made us viewers think that it was going to be the final battle.
Yeah.
But it was the first
battle. And then they finally revealed the little figures because they got to draw little faces. Mm-hmm. They finally revealed who's going first. And then they cut to this like this little, I don't know, sketch of these guys with like all white. And just, dude, that cracked me the fuck up.
The comedy in this
show I'm posting that on Instagram, by
top
the way.
Notch.
Yes.
I laugh so often in this show.
Yeah, they definitely get a lot of your emotions out of this one.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of cool because then he was Conryu is talking about how
there's that picture.
Yeah, everyone's whited out. Yeah, that's a good picture.
It's like, oh fuck. But just it was hilarious that. Well, not hilarious, excuse me. I like the fact that Conryu talked about how, well, not really, he didn't talk about it, but they had mentioned that he's got the blurry, the vision, or the,
ooh, yeah, what do they call it?
I'm trying to blank.
Blurry sickness?
Yeah, blurry sickness, that's what it is. And when he finally gets Suika's helmet glasses.
The melon helmet, yeah.
Bro, he looked badass.
He looked super badass. I was going to tell you, Ricky, take a screenshot of that and post that, because that looked super awesome.
Yeah, that definitely looked exactly like he was, like a superhero pose. Or even in the
manga. I don't know if I would assume the manga also took a screenshot of that, essentially. But, like, I could totally see him pulling off that look for the rest of the series, but he didn't.
I was hoping they make him something more unique than just glasses. Because you know he needs glasses.
Right.
But I was hoping to make him like a helmet, like she has, like Suika has. Mm-hmm. Bro, he looks so badass with that thing.
That helmet was awesome. that sounded, to me, I don't know why, but that helmet made me think of, what's that old Xbox game where it's like you're in hell, you're fighting demons, and you're going to shoot them all down. There's like 3 of them.
Devil May Cry?
No, not Xbox, regular Xbox. It was an Xbox exclusive.
Oh, man, I don't remember.
Matt, you used to have this game.
I did?
Uh-huh.
Dante's Inferno?
No,
it's older than that.
It's a first-person shooter like 007, and you're going through and you just...
Doom? That's not in hell.
It wasn't hell, but it makes you feel hellish. Oh shit, what's this guy's name?
Kinro?
When Kinro had that melon on, it, for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure, but it just reminded me of Doom. And that's probably a real long shot, but I'm just going to stick to my ground on that one.
Just keep on sipping to that scotch.
It just made me think of that's not now. That's when I was watching it in the moment.
No, he looked badass in that thing.
He looked super badass in that, and it was really good to see that. Just I really enjoyed that, and then Magma is playing on knows exactly what he's like, because he's like, well, that's cheating because you didn't actually, somebody threw it from outside the ring.
But he didn't use it as a weapon.
He didn't use it as a weapon. That was
the reasoning.
But then he lost because he was distracted.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
bullshit.
But honestly, that's it's also good because it's true. Like if you wear a helmet, like you don't know what's going on behind you, so you got to be mindful of your surroundings. Granted, it was super fucked up that he attacked him from behind, but I mean, it's a
sportsmanship.
Fucking Ken from Street Fighter, bro.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Mantle real quick, since we're on this little shitty situation. Magma and Mantle, that little tiny guy that goes and tries to...
Oh, I didn't even catch his name.
Yeah, his name's Mantle, the one who told everyone that Suika was drowning.
Yeah.
Oh, quick little... I mean, as we learned through the series, there's a lot of Japanese to English translations. Suika apparently means watermelon, or at least melon. One of the two. But yeah, it was fun learning a couple little things, because Senku said that Suika meant melon. It was ironic. But anyway, Mantle told everybody that he saw Suika drowning, but really he just tied her up. That little fucking bastard.
Well, I thought it was funny where they were like, well, how'd you know she was going down for this if...
You saw her drowning and you came all the way over here to tell us... Well, yeah. To me, Mantle just reminded me of the little ankle biter that can't do anything and just follows orders.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really pick. I saw him. I know what you're talking about.
Mm.
But he just wasn't important to me because I honestly didn't think he was going to be a big deal. And he wasn't.
He isn't.
No.
But watching this for a second time, you just pick up on other things like, man, fuck that guy.
So, got a question for you. Do you guys have any like little favorite shout-outs or little scenes or characters that reminded you of other shit? Like, mentioned before, Ken from Street
With
Fighter.
you saying that, there was in the later series where where Senku was talking about how awesome his timeline used to be, and he was talking about there was lights and there was all this fun stuff, and I mean, eventually it worked up into like a fake ass Goku using when he was talking about manga, and he showed this fake ass Goku shooting out his Kamehameha at the screen, and it was like a split second, but it was those kind of shout outs I really appreciate because they're the reason anime is what they are today, is because those stepping stones. And I don't know if that's where you were going, but that's just what made me think.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Like I mentioned before, Magma looks like Ken from Street Fighter.
Oh, sure.
One of my favorite little quotes is one of those brute guys, just the followers for Tsukasa. They're invading the village, and I think he's the leader of like just the stupid, the grunts.
The guy in the mask?
No, not that guy. But the other guy next to him.
Hyoga? I think Hyoga was
not the girl.
No, Hyoga is the one with the spear that he spun.
Oh, yeah, not him. I'm talking about the other generic, wannabe.
Just the musclehead looking guys.
Yeah. Oh. But he gets like punched in the face, and he's like, he broke in my nose. It reminded me of The Longest Yard, bro.
Oh, yeah.
He's holding, he broke in my nose, bro.
In my nose.
That, like, I wrote that down because it just reminded me of Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that was good.
They had a couple of little shout outs. I can't remember on top of my head, but I know for a fact they had other little scenes where they like mention or give shout outs to different anime and manga. Mm-hmm. You, Matt, pick up on anything?
The only thing I can think of is every time that Kasuki turns into his like super buff. Yeah. I keep thinking of Master Roshi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's where I went to. Mm-hmm. Every time his clothes were ripped off, it was Master Roshi. Yep.
And that was probably the biggest one that I had noticed as far as references are concerned.
Okay.
I got something that I picked up on kind of quickly. Did you guys happen to recognize who Chrome's voice actor was? English voice actor?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Okay, so watching this for the second time, obviously, I was like, his voice is way too familiar, and I looked into it, and it's Ari Freta's Hajime.
Oh, okay.
We just got done doing that episode. I'm like, and it just so happens to be a back-to-back episode, but yeah, it was Hajime's voice, is Chrome.
Well, now I'm gonna hear that when we watch season 2.
Yeah, right. So,
interesting. Yeah, no, I didn't really get into the whole voice.
I just love trying to connect pieces because obviously there's a handful of voice actors for the anime world, but I just like doing that.
Yeah, I know I follow some anime pages, and like anytime there's a birthday and you'll see a voice actor's birthday, and it's like, fuck, how many people did you create voices for? Because some people have like 30 people they created. I'm like, man, that's a lot. Like,
speaking of birthdays, do you guys remember Senku's birthday?
Ooh.
It is January 6th?
Close.
No idea.
Senku shares a birthday with me. January 4th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I totally forgot about this on the first run, and I went back into it. But when they were doing the splunking, and Gin was like, keep him busy for like 3 days, and we had just gotten done with the New Year's episode, which was also a side note. It was really fun that we had a Christmas episode and a New Year's episode as far as, us Westerners go. But I was doing the mental math in myself. Like, we just got done with New Year's. They told him to stay away for 3 days. I think that's going to be super ass close to my birthday. And then, of course, Senku comes back January 4th. It's his birthday. Stone Day, they call it or whatever. And they surprised him with the telescope. I was like, fuck yeah, we have the same birthday.
Nice.
So yeah, that was something I wanted to throw out there.
That's awesome, bro. That's cool.
Me and Senku. Cool.
And then it was when Yin asked him about, it's like, how long?
I don't even know how old I am.
He's like, just count the number of days. And it's like 6,000 something.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
He figured it out. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Do a little birthday party for his crush.
I like Ian. I like him a lot. I hated him at first,
Same.
obviously, because when you don't know any better, you think he's just gonna backstab everybody, but you just find out more and more that obviously he wants to be on the winning side, but obviously everyone wants to be on the cool, sciencey side that can invent all these cool new things. But he also has all these tricks up his own sleeve that helps him out, and he's a valuable enough character, and I like him a lot.
Now that we're at Gin right now, one of my favorite scenes is when they just make up that bluff that they have a gun.
The gun scene, I loved it.
Bro, that was
loved
smart.
that scene. It was smart as fuck.
Yeah.
Because that gunpowder in the tube itself was 99% of the way there to be a gun.
Yep.
I mean, all he needed was to have what? He
A
could have
projectile,
put some kind of projectile. He could have put a rock at the end of that tube, but they decided to throw a rock instead. But the concept behind all of that illusionary gun, I thought was fucking spot on. I was so amazed. I get so amazed by everything that they do scientifically in this show. That's why this is one of my favorite anime.
Yeah, man, I failed science like 3 years in high school. I'm learning this shit now.
But it's so much fun learning this when you're older, when you want to learn it. It's a whole different story.
So technically, that it would be a gun. I want to say it was the pirates and seafaring people. It was like a blunderbuss, which is basically just some gunpowder that they put a bunch of stuff into a tube and
Like
shoot it.
Shotgun style?
Shotgun.
Yep.
But they would put like a bunch of crazy things into it, but
A muzzle loader?
Metals and whatnot.
it was a muzzle.
Basically.
But pirates. So we're talking probably 1300s kind of time frame.
Oh, I thought you were going to say dumb people, but they're smart and dumb at the same time.
But so he didn't have rifling, and that's kind of what makes guns useful because you can't really aim anything if it's a hollow board.
But he was almost there.
He was close.
I just loved it. It was a great scene to scare them off. But then that fucking chick had to come and burn the village down from behind them. So it was a loss in the end.
Well, smart on their part, too.
Yeah.
You got to appreciate both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need that drama, and that's exactly what that was, and that was great.
But it worked out in Senku's favor in the end because then they rebuilt all the huts and put furnaces inside of all of them.
Furnaces, yep.
So.
Not only that, but that gunpowder deal brought to light the small opportunity of that bomb that Senku had in his hand that the wind blew out. They never capitalized on that fucking bomb. You guys remember that?
No.
Okay, so when Tsukasa's army was invading them, Senku was on the bridge, and he had that little hand bomb with a fuse, but it was a stormy, windy day. So the Tsukasa wanted to invade them on that, so that the wind would blow out their guns. Well, Senku had that little bomb, and the wind blew it out. And that was the only time that you got to see that bomb. But it never actually worked, but we never get to see it again.
I think it was a
For
dud.
now. Yeah.
For now.
I think it was for a dud for sure. Just because they want to make the illusion like, oh, they're powerless.
Oh, it could have been an illusion. But at the same time, it could have been a real thing. It could have just been like, okay, well, plan A is we use this bomb. Plan B, it doesn't work, so we go to plan B. So I think that's how that probably would have been thought out. But at the same time, they have Senku.
What was he lighting it with? What was he trying to light it with? That it went out?
It was just a fuse. He lit the fuse, and the wind blew the fuse out.
The wind and rain blew out.
Senku's not a smoker, bro. He doesn't know that little... Get a cup it.
Yeah.
They did light it in Senku's defense.
Yeah, it was lit, and
we got to cup it.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see some awesome bomb action, at least any sequential bomb action. But then again, after that fight, it was all sciencey stuff after that because now they're preparing for the Stone Wars. So it's not like we can really worry about bombs as it is.
So speaking of, this question is really only for Ricky because Lance, you and I have already seen season 2. What's something you're looking forward to for season 2?
More fighting, more action. Not that I'm disappointed in season 1 because there's only limited fighting.
Okay.
But just to see more action, I want to see. Even though I don't really like the guy Tsukasa, I want to see what he can really do if he needs to get down to the nitty gritty. You know.
All right. So yeah, that was. I mean, I can 100% see what you were saying, Ricky, about wanting for season 2 because I know when I first started watching season 2, basically a lot of what you were saying is what I was looking forward to. So
yeah, just a little bit more action.
Yep.
I'm content with what I got now because obviously it's great. I think it's great. The science thing is awesome, especially when they're teaching you real shit.
Yeah,
literally real shit. Yeah.
It could be a little dangerous for people, but yeah, no, it's great. It's just when you watch anime, you kind of think of action. most of the time. At least
Most
I
of the
do.
time, yeah.
I do. And
Especially
but yeah,
shonen.
Stone Wars, I feel it's gonna be pretty awesome just to
Yep.
see those two powerful guys. Even though we don't like them, to see those two powerful guys kind of work together.
Which is better, science or might? That's pretty much what season
comes
2
down
is going
to.
to be. Yep.
And it's good. It's good to watch. I have a quick question, and I think this might be my final question. When we saw the petrification wave engulf Earth, I don't know how physics and science can explain it, but why does waves of that caliber just so happen to go around a spherical thing? Why did the wave of petrification go around Earth and not expand into space itself?
Gravity. I don't know.
that was my first thought too, but like, you can't stop radio waves or microwaves or stuff like that. That shit's just going to keep going forever. So the petrification wave just so happens to engulf Earth and only Earth. And I know Byakuya and his crew in Soyuz, was that Soyuz, the rocket, they were safe in space, which on first hand makes sense, but like I was saying, why doesn't the petrification wave expand into space itself? Like why does it have an end point? Why does it have to be engulfing Earth and that's it?
Well, I know they talk about the Senku basically gives 3 hypotheses.
Oh yeah, I wrote those those are good ones.
What he believes happened. It was either a bacteria that just happened to spread the Earth. It was like basically a nuclear or a military strike that got out of hand. And then his third option was aliens.
I think his actual first option was alien.
I'm just saying that of
yeah, those were the 3. Yes.
And so I asked my wife. I'm like, so if this happened, what do you think would be? She didn't give me a good answer, but
I was gonna say, damn, what'd she say? I was super interested.
Yeah, for real.
Just go get like a tally.
If I ask my wife, she's like, shut the fuck up.
But me personally, I think it was aliens. Just because...
You'd go the alien route?
Only because bacteria doing the entire world in one swoop doesn't sound believable.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Military, I could see military doing it, but I feel like if the military had done it, they would have found a way to also make sure that they didn't get petrified. So that seems kind of off. No, it could
I want to branch off of that.
And then to me, but that's just my thought. And Lance, you can give your thought on why you think it might be the military. But the other option, of those 3 options, I would believe it's aliens, just because the other 2 just don't seem plausible. And I'm not saying that I believe aliens are going to come attack us, but if I had to choose between the 3, I would think it would be aliens.
So let me
more
poke your
fun.
brain a little bit. If it's aliens, then what was the purpose? And why didn't they take over Earth?
And why only humans / sparrows?
Sparrows.
Thank you. That's another question I wanted. But go ahead, Matt.
Which is what I want to dive into with my...
Maybe a science experiment to see what would happen. Because if there were aliens, they would probably know what Earth was like before humans came to be, and seeing kind of like, hey, if we do this, is what essentially Senku is trying to do, is that going to happen? Or is it basically going to be from 0 over again, and everything's going to start over? Kind of like a giant science experiment.
So the aliens are basically our God. A small kid version of God trying to see
Potentially.
how Earth...
It's a simulation.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, there's theories that we're just a giant projection, and it's just a simulation.
The simulation hypothesis. Yeah.
Yep.
So why not? It
Actually,
could be.
funny. I was just reading an article about that. But anyway.
I read it. I listen to it stuff.
Lance, I think we have the same question. Why humans and birds? Or the sparrow?
Okay, so I can answer that a little bit with what I was talking about.
Yeah,
Matt, my thought process is very, very similar to yours. It's just not aliens, but it's going to be someone more specific in the human realm. And if our anime listeners want to relate it to anything, if we're talking about like My Hero Academia, the League of Villains, I don't know if you're caught up to episode the 170 range. There was, spoiler alert, but there's a secret spot where one guy is manipulating things. Fuck, how do I want to say this?
So are you going, because it originated from a certain location, you think that a group or an individual was the reason behind it because it was centralized in an area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that one particular party figured this out, a human party, and they tested it out on the sparrows, and they found out that it worked. So they hit the go button and said, fuck you to the rest of the world. Everybody else turned to stone except that party. And it'll be very interesting to learn what happened in between those 3,700 years. But I think that it was a small group of people that made it happen for a specific reason that we will yet to find out. We're in the middle of the Stone Age right now, and season 2 is called Stone Wars. Obviously, we'll find out what happens there. I just think that it would be very fun to find out that there was a super highly developed scientific section of the Earth that is very secluded after these 3,700 years that will fight Senku and his version of science.
His village of silence.
His village of science. And I think it'll be a final battle. I think that would be an awesome way to end the series.
You think that's what season 3 is about?
Yeah, I think they'll find another village of science. I don't want to call it a village because obviously what I'm getting at is that these guys are obviously going to be top-notch science guys. But I think it'll be primitive science versus top-notch science. And we'll have to see how that battle goes out to be.
So you think there's another community out somewhere hunkering down? I can see that. Makes sense. Ricky, you have any ideas, any thoughts on those 3? You gonna go the bacteria route?
Nah. No, I honestly I have no idea. But I don't believe in the bacteria. Because look at the coronavirus. Look how long it took it didn't even get to Australia. You know what I mean? Just like that.
Well, to be fair, Dr. Stone was pre-coronavirus, so this was
But you know what I'm saying though, just
this was peace
for a bacteria to
spread
BC. Like that.
This was BC before corona.
But for bacteria to spread like that, and I don't think it's bacteria. It's obviously some type of I don't want to say magic, but something like that.
A weapon or...
a weapon. There you go.
Okay.
It's definitely not just something that came about.
Okay.
But...
yeah. So we all have...
We do know that it originated... Well, we do know that they assume it originated in South America, right?
Good point in saying the assumption part. I'm not throwing out that the assumption.
Yeah.
I'm saying... Not that I'm saying assumption because season 2 gives it away, but going back and rewatching this, they do assume...
They can't confirm.
Exactly.
They can't confirm.
According to social media and reverse engineering, Byakuya figured out that it probably originated in South America. So fuck you, South America.
In this reference. In this show.
In this
fuck
show.
But so that brings up, I was just thinking about it. When they were trying to go back to Earth, they assumed that it was in South America. Weren't they trying to aim for like South America just to see if it was from there, or where were they trying to go?
I think they were trying to go to Japan because Byakuya had an assumption that if there was something that could basically change what had happened, Senku would be the person to make it go back.
Okay.
All right, guys, hear me out. I have this 16-year-old son. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to make sure everything correlates. If they're trying... So,
Can I get beer real quick?
Yeah. There you go.
Beer grab.
Beer grab.
Not run, just grab.
Hey Audio Pongers, I'm Philip.
Oh, we're doing that right now? And I'm Nave from the Gaming Together Cooperative Podcast.
If you're listening to Audio Pong, then I know you're fans of deep conversation, like this. And depending on what you give them, some people don't like some stuff.
I figured that out too.
What, did you give like a dandelion to the hobo and he's like, you think because I'm homeless I want this trash?
No, I just walked around giving people gifts and everything I gave everyone, they hated. So I was like, all right. I was fishing and I was just giving people fish. I was like, here is a sunfish. And they're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, I don't know, eat it! It's a fish! Release it back into the water. I don't care.
Wait, what would you say if somebody, like the new farmer in town, just gave you a fish while you were walking down the street, minding your own business?
If I lived in a rural area where people ate, like, there's a fisherman. That's all he does in the village. So it's like, I'm sure fish become gifts, right? Like, that's gotta be a thing, right?
Are you saying right now fish become gifts?
Here's some food. Like, it's just like, here's a cake, but here's a thing that is nourishing to you.
You're telling me that you get the same gift value out of giving somebody a cake as you get from giving them a raw fish?
Well, no, because the fish is... Whatever. I'm sure someone wants the fish. Maybe they're the ones I'll marry. The ones that want the raw fish.
That's Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast. Come on down, co-op partners.
So what I'm trying to bring up is if they assume obviously it was South America, and in my thought process they were trying to go to South America to figure out what's going on with it.
Yep.
Obviously, you understand that you find out that they miscalculated or whatever.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
That's fine.
They did miscalculate land.
If they miscalculate, that's fine. But still, South America compared to Japan, right? Just if you look at a globe, well, then again, it is it's actually right away.
I think they were little opposites, weren't they? They were saying, I think at one point they were saying that why not go to Japan? You know what? I don't even remember. But
that's what
I'm
trying to make sure everything correlates, because if they were trying to go to South America, and yeah, they might have just been off by a little bit, not by a huge chunk, they'll still be close to South America, right?
Yeah.
And then Senku and them are in Japan.
Because we're talking about some super scientific people. Like, astronauts are top-notch people. They should know what they're fucking doing.
Exactly. So, Japan, Senku's in Japan. Obviously, by the time Senku
I see what you're
wakes up, obviously the Earth forms in different shapes, probably 2 years from now. No,
yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. Probably next year, California's going to drift into the...
We're talking about plate tectonics.
Exactly.
Yes. So, continents will move.
So, that's what I was trying to wonder.
Right,
how
much has the continents moved in 3,700 years?
Well, the only thing we do see change is the
Northern Star.
Tilt of the axis of the Earth has changed. Other than that, we don't know anything else that's changed.
But that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
If they landed in South America, let's say, and they're in Japan, how the fuck does Senku arrive at that village where his father found it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Because Senku is in Japan. It would just depend on where they landed. Because what is this island also?
Exactly.
Where is this island that we're talking about? Because, sorry, Matt. I don't mean to throw you off there. Because in episode 1 or 2 or whatever, when Senku was talking about, there shouldn't be lions in Japan. That doesn't necessarily mean that Senku knows that he's still in Japan.
So Senku doesn't say that. It's Taiju that says that. And Senku is like, well...
The zoo.
Hey, idiot. Obviously, since nobody's in the zoo making sure that nothing escapes, that's where it came from.
Right.
And
which makes perfect sense. I mean...
It does.
Why not?
The only thing I can think of is, granted, the kids and generations below would know where Japan is, but Byakuya and them say that we need to make sure that we get to Japan, and that's really the only reference they make about going to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So the main reason I'm bringing this up, like I said, I'll make sure it correlates, but my suspicion is the tectonic plates obviously shifted the continents, and they are in Japan, but somehow whatever it shifted that South America would be next to Japan in my mind. So that's why I think that's what happened, because I suspect that later on in the series that they're gonna obviously find the source of where the stone, whatever that created them in the stone, which would be in South America.
Right.
So I think they're trying to hint at, without really giving us a huge clue, that tectonic plates did shift the continents.
And we're getting like a reverse Pangea kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, Pangea was one giant mass of land, and throughout thousands of years they split off, and now that 3,700 years have gone by, they've gone around the world and reconfigurated a reverse Pangea.
Started to.
Yeah.
Right.
We could see that happening later on. I get that.
I'm totally on board with that concept, but yeah.
Overall, the main mission is to find out how this happened.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I feel like they're going to find out, but if we're going to say they're still in Japan, then they got to make a bowl, then they got to go all the way to South America.
Yeah, because as far as we know today, Japan and South America is a fuck ton of distance away.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be a lot of plate tectonic movements for continents to move closer together. And I know the science behind a lot of what Dr. Stone is doing is legit, and I would hope to think that I don't know how crazy you guys want to get about distances that moved, but like things move, continents, the moon. I don't know if you guys know, but the moon moves away from Earth like a thumbnail per year. So at one point in future time, our Earth's gravity will no longer be able to hold on to the moon. So in one point in our future, we're no longer going to have a moon, which is going to be fucking crazy.
According to Dr. Stone, we're good for 3,700 years.
We also move away from the sun by like 0.007 seconds or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So it's every 10 years we're 1 our 24-hour period is actually not exactly a 24-hour period, so it actually takes longer to spin around.
Is this why a leap year is a deal? Is that where
Yeah, it kind of makes up
our
for it.
historians come up with our leap year?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's all this fun stuff. So while I was saying that, I was like, I don't know what science has to say about how much our continents are moving on Earth right now, but like how much actually how much will our continents move in 3,700 years? Is Japan going to be closer to South America?
Or is it going to be close to America? Or is it going to drift that way?
I would imagine closer to America, because I'm pretty sure Japan is a northern hemisphere.
Technically, yes. Yes.
So I guess we'll have to see. But Japan is also an island. So
it can move wherever.
How attached to all that stuff is that? I don't know.
Now we're getting way too far off the deep end on that one.
See, but this is what the show's about.
That's true.
This is what we got to talk about.
It'll be interesting to see because we already know what the title of season 2 is. We know that that's not going to be what season 2 is about. But it'll be interesting to know what happens in season 3 and beyond.
Or just some finale.
Yeah.
Just some finale purposes. That's all we're speculating at this moment.
Yep.
So we don't have to spend any more time on this otherwise, because we're just at this time
we ain't going for it.
We're going down the rabbit hole of information.
Ricky, do you have anything else to throw at this?
No, I think I'm good, man. Everything that I wanted to talk about, I did.
All right.
Matt's manga moments?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good time to dive into the manga then. NANI?
What do you got for us, Matt?
Let's go.
One thing I will say is the anime does an outstanding job as far as sticking true to the manga. Unlike certain manga or animes where it's like, hey, you're missing these characters or you're missing this huge information. That really doesn't happen. It's to kind of put it in perspective. I have like 2.5 pages of notes, 1.5 pages of notes. So there's not really a whole lot of information that wasn't referenced in the anime that was referenced in the manga. One thing that's kind of different, which you only will see if you watch, or you might notice, you only notice if you watch the anime multiple times, is Senku references in the anime, he references his wake up as zero. I don't know if you caught that, Lance. It's literally like it's a one-off sentence where he's like, all right, from now we're gonna call this zero because I don't know the actual year.
Right.
Well, he never mentions that in the manga. He literally he can call.
That's a little contradicting because he happens to know when his birthday falls on.
Exactly. So in the anime, he literally says when he woke up, he said this was day zero or this was year zero in the anime. In the manga, he never mentions that it's zero. He just says, hey, this is year yada yada yada, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so he just continues.
Yeah, it continues on from whatever year he was. 37 years, right. 3700. So what is that? 2039 is when the petrification happens.
Oh, so this is already a future story to begin with.
Yes.
I didn't catch on to that. Okay, that's good to know.
I did the math on that one.
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't necessarily do the math, but I figured that it was in our future.
Yes, that is.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Also, one thing that isn't in the anime that is in the manga is you see Chrome challenge Senku to arithmetic. So, like not what's 9 times 9 or what's 87 times 35. Stuff like that. And obviously Senku is
super genius,
super smart. So he knows and he's like, oh, it's this and this is how you figure it out. And Chrome's like, man, I know these answers and you just got to make it you got to be so much smarter than me. Mm-hmm. So you'll see Chrome challenge Senku. And one reference, it's not super important, but Gin had been revived 10 days prior to him going to the village. At that point, the unknown named village.
Okay. So he's been revived for 10 days.
Yep.
Prior to finding Senku.
Yes. You get to witness the process of them making their gas masks. Again, it's cool, but you get to watch them build a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, gas masks are like a tube, some charcoal, and another tube, and then a mask. So it's like, it's kind of...
Right. The anime shows like the basics of it, but like they don't get into the gritty detail. Like, how the fuck did they get this leather to make this mask? How the fuck did they get this like tubey material to even make the tube?
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be the basics of science, but that's one thing is to say like how do you even get the basics?
I mean,
And I think that's an anime thing to gloss over, and I think obviously they did a good job like that. Otherwise, this would be a bajillion episode kind of series. But
yeah, seriously. And then another thing is, so a reference point. So by the time they go get the sulfuric acid,
the two-faced, what do they call it? The two-faced sulfur goddess or something like that.
Oh,
So-
the fairy or whatever?
Yeah.
I think they call her goddess, but yeah, it's that area. It's been 5 months. So Senku, so from the point in which Senku got there to the point in which Senku went and got the sulfuric acid, it had been 5 months.
Oh yeah, I wrote down in my notes that every time they wrote down how much time has passed by, like years and months have passed by. Like I think at one point, I think Senku was like a 16-year-old when it all starts, and I think at the end of season 1 or 2 he's like 19.
Yeah, so it's he's 17, and then because he's so when Byakuya goes to try out to be an astronaut, he's in 5th grade, so about 12-ish, and then it's 5 years after the astronaut tryout, so he'd be about 17 at that point. So Senku is probably a senior in high school at this point.
Getting close to that, yeah.
And then it's been 2 years from the time,
Or junior.
junior,
time.
senior-ish time frame, and it's been 2 years it's almost 2 years from the time that he broke out of the petrification to the end of season 1. It's been about 2 years.
Yeah.
Because the first year he's by himself. The second year is when he depetrifies, or excuse me, it's spring is when he breaks out. In, I want to say fall is when he depetrifies
6 months. Yep.
Taiju, and then they go through a winter together, and then the following spring, so it's been about a year, is when they break out Tsukasa
And Yuzira, whatever her name is.
Yuzuriha.
Yeah, Yuzuriha. And so that's about spring, early spring. And so 5 months, so again, about fallish time frame, is when they go and get the sulfuric acid. You find out the reason why only the village of science, so all the science people, and then Magma are the people that are in this tournament. And that's because Magma and Kohaku basically beat the shit out of everybody else in the village. And so they don't want to have that happen again. So that's why it's only those group of people that try out to be the chief.
Well, what
of
they
the
were
village.
saying in the anime was Kohaku beats Magma, and because a sister can't marry her sister, they have to have like a retrial or something like something
Well-
like that. That's kind of what I took from the anime.
So they do mention that, but as far as the repeat is concerned, why they have the second bout of tournament, the reason why nobody tries out a second time is because of Kohaku and Magma.
Oh, they're already too afraid of him to begin
Yeah,
with.
they're like, well, we're gonna lose. We already lost once, so there's no point in trying again. And so that's why they don't compete the second time through.
Yeah, it's good to know because we don't get to see in the anime why the tournament itself is so small.
Yep.
In terms of the village itself.
Yeah, it like the first time I saw it, I thought it was kind of funny that it's like, really? It's them plus Magma? That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Then now...
Plus, there was that one random ass guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Spiky ass hair or something.
Yep. So, the 3 people, and
Nobody
then...
fucks about that
No,
guy.
I don't even think he had a name. No, he did have a name, I think, but I don't. I wrote it down somewhere, I think.
Anyway,
Go on, I'll throw it out there and just.
so something that's kind of cool is you see them fitting Suika for her lenses, kind of like what an optometrist would do for us to get their lenses properly made. It's not just Senku just randomly putting a pair of lenses inside of her.
Good, because I didn't want her to bring that up, but I'm glad you brought it.
Yeah. So it's they explain it better. It's like, hey, they did what an optometrist would do. Be like, hey, look on this one, and then they kind of briefly show all that stuff, and you get to see her getting the proper glasses. The thing is, they don't, just like in the anime where she doesn't actually get to see for the first time or see well for the first time, and they do the same thing. She does know they're sunflowers, but she doesn't know what they actually look like up to that point. One thing is they call chapter, so from the first chapter to chapter 45, they call that a prologue for the Stone Wars. So from chapter 46 on is the Stone Wars. So unlike in season 1, where season 1 actually ends on chapter 60, they call chapter 46 Beyond, which I haven't read what Beyond is. Chapter 46 and beyond is the Stone Wars. So a lot of that stuff that happens in kind of the end of season 1, I think it's like, I think it's like episode 16 and beyond is what they would consider Stone Wars stuff. So like the fight for, or the tournament for the village chief, it was technically a part of Stone Wars.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not really relevant to Stone Wars. The only reason why they consider it Stone Wars is because you meet a lot of the people from the Tsukasa army.
Yes.
And I get why the anime, they made it 24 chapters, because the end of the season is a very good stopping point to make it for season 2.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. Because what me and Matt know for season 2 of the anime is they start to introduce a lot of Tsukasa's army.
Yes, everything kind of ramps up.
And if you don't, if you've only seen season 1 for your first time, you're not going to catch it. But me and Matt watching it again, that we can catch that blonde hair girl, we can catch the Robin Hood guy, and Hyoga makes a bigger appearance in season 2. But they show glimpses of who Tsukasa's army is going to be, and I think that's just a fun part of watching it for a second time. It's just like, oh yeah, that person's important, even though we don't even know right now. So
yep, exactly. And then it's like, oh, why did I even bother seeing that guy?
Right.
And then you get all of this information that makes a lot more sense. But according to the manga, Stone Wars officially starts on chapter 46. You get to witness, another thing that happens is you get to witness Senku give Kanryu the painkillers. So Senku actually makes Kinryu. Kinro. You see Senku make painkillers by just changing a couple things from the
Ryu
antibiotics.
So he changes like one thing, and now it's a painkiller instead of an antibiotic.
When does he give him the painkiller? When he gets attacked from
when he gets stabbed in the
Oh, so
abdomen.
You see that in the anime, but he doesn't describe. He doesn't say what he's doing. He's just throwing it on his wound. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because it sounded like he just threw like a handful of salt at the wound. That's the way I kind of here, take this and more of this. And it was like it was a very comical scene.
So you do see that, and that's kind of to help to make sure that, you know, he doesn't get infected and stuff and get bandaged up. But he also gives him painkiller for the obviously for the pain. And Conroe, so then Kinro. Sorry, man. Apparently that Jameson's really kicking in now.
Jameson? What are you drinking
man,
over there?
Johnny Walker.
Damn, man.
Apparently it's really kicking in. Excuse me. Kinro, because he kind of goes like, this is nothing, and then starts like blood starts spouting out of his abdomen again. And that's the reason why he can do that, is because of the painkillers.
You want a beer to sober up a little bit?
You want a beer to sober up?
I'm doing good on that. And then the last thing that I've got is you see Senku and Gin really start to formulate a plan to, I'll use what season 2 is, but for the Stone Wars. So you see them like really start to be able to concoct a plan to be able to fight the Tsukasa army in the end of what would be season 1 on chapter 60 is where season 1 ends for the manga. And yeah, that's not a whole lot. Like I said, they did a really good job of sticking true to the manga.
Especially aside of all the very complicated scientific terms that the manga would have to write out letter by letter, word for word. Holy crap. Like I said, probably a science textbook to you, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Honestly, with that being said, I'm interested in knowing like the degrees these writers have.
Exactly. Like, who's the dude that made this shit? Like, he has to know his shit.
I feel like I would just literally be like, how to make gunpowder? And then if, if this was in America, as the FBI would be like, hey, why are you looking up all this stuff? Oh, I promise you it's for a story. It's all it's for. I'm not trying to
It's for a story for kids. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, why are you looking up gunpowder, cotton candy? That shit doesn't correlate.
Explosives, what? You don't need explosives. Can you make guns do this? That's not things you should be looking up. But it'd be either somebody's really, really smart or Google helps this individual lots.
And at this point in our lives, I'm sure Google did a lot of the heavy lifting. So Google is a very, very useful tool, and I am so thankful for that. Oh, you know what I missed out on? Is trying to make a funny ass joke to be like, yeah, that didn't move me 1 millimeter.
Oh my god.
I will
1
say
billion%.
1 billion%.
the first time I watched this, it did kind of annoy me, was the 1 billion% and the 1 millimeter, because he makes those references.
Oh, and that
Quite
ain't
frequently.
A lot.
Let's get excited. It's time to get excited.
Get excited.
Damn, you sound like him, Lance.
Oh, there it did. I did like the get excited part. I took that to heart. I like that one a lot. But
Hit him again with it.
the millimeter was okay, and the 10 billion% chance was okay.
Yes.
I did understand that it was a little annoying, but at the same time, like, I want to be on the side of influencing the science.
Yeah, I'm
community,
perfectly fine with it.
So that's why I couldn't just like fucking crucify it. So
Yeah.
100% science. Sorry.
Oh, 1 sec. Hold on. Right now, just because I'm watching an episode. Did you guys catch that little like rap music video with the old man, like when he's making the glass? That shit cracked me up. I don't know if you guys caught that, but when he started making the glass, they put this rap song in the background, and this dude's like a thug, just trying to
Oh,
spin
really?
that. Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious.
No,
bro.
I
I wrote it down, but
I did not catch that one. No.
No, I missed out on that one.
it's like a 1990s rap video. Alright. But yeah, Matt, is that all you have for manga?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Lance, you got anything else to add?
I'm pretty solid.
I think we're gonna wrap it up, man. Well, you guys, appreciate you guys listening to our episode. Remember, this is season 1 of Dr. Stone. Our next episode will be season 2, just because we know season 3 is coming our way. But make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We're gonna post all this funny shit, especially the little times about that fight for the tournament. But make sure you guys follow us, share everything, share our content, let us grow this anime community, and Happy New Year's.